family gathering, my parents introduced my brother as our only successful child. While I was standing right next to them, I just smiled and left, without saying anything. 6 months later, my brother got fired and desperately needed work, so I gave him a job as a janitor at the company I own, at the Next Family. Dinner when Dad started bragging about him again, I sweetly asked, how's he enjoying cleaning the executive bathrooms? The table went dead silent. The champagne was expensive, but the atmosphere was cheap. It was my parents' 35th anniversary. 50 guests were packed into a rented hall. I stood there, holding a glass of sparkling water, wearing a suit that cost more than my father's first house. My parents didn't know that. To them, I was still the unstable one who took risks they didn't understand. My brother Julian stood to my left. He was glowing. He had just landed a mid-level management role at a tech firm. To my parents, he had reached the summit of human achievement. My father clapped Julian on the shoulder, his voice booming so the entire circle could hear. We're just so proud, Dad said, his eyes crinkling with a warmth he never directed at me. In a world of uncertainty, it's a relief to know we raised at least one truly successful child. The circle of family friends nodded and offered polite ahs. I was standing right there, close enough to smell the scotch on my father's breath. I didn't flinch. I didn't drop my glass. Julian looked at me, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. He didn't correct them. He leaned into it. Thanks, Dad, Julian said. It's all about focus. Some people just don't have the discipline. My mother squeezed his arm. Exactly. Our only successful son. We can finally sleep at night. The silence from my side was heavy. I waited for one of them to look at me, to realize how cruel they were being. They didn't. I was a ghost in a bespoke suit. I didn't make a scene. I didn't cry. I simply placed my glass on a passing tray, offered a thin, razor-sharp smile to the group, and walked out of the hall. I blocked their numbers before I reached the valet. 6 months passed. The tech bubble did what bubbles do. Julian's firm didn't just lay people off. It evaporated. He had leveraged everything. The Porsche, the high-rise condo, the ego. He tried calling me, then he tried emailing. I didn't answer until he showed up at my corporate headquarters, looking haggard and desperate. He didn't know I owned the building. He thought I was just a consultant. I'm drowning, Elias, he said, sitting in my lobby, his eyes bloodshot. I've applied everywhere. Nobody is hiring. I'm going to lose the house. I looked at him from behind my desk. I felt nothing. No anger, no pity. Just a cold, calculated clarity. I have one opening, I said. The maintenance crew is short-staffed. Julian laughed, a dry, pathetic sound. I'm an executive, Elias. I don't do tough floors. Then you don't eat, I replied. It's 20 an hour. Shift starts at 5 a.m. You'll be assigned to the executive wing. He took it. He had no choice. For 3 months, I watched him through the glass walls of my office. I watched him empty my trash. I watched him scrub the grime off the marble floors I paid for. He never saw me. I made sure of that. Then came the Sunday dinner. My mother had begged me to come, crying about family unity now that Julian was going through a rough patch. I agreed. I wanted to see the theater one last time. We sat in their cramped dining room. The air was thick with the smell of roast chicken and denial. Dad started in within 10 minutes. It's just a temporary setback for Julian, Dad said, glaring at me as if his son's failure was somehow my fault. He's doing consulting work for a major firm right now, building back his empire. Julian sat across from me, picking at his food, his hands rough and red from industrial chemicals. That's right, Julian muttered. Just high-level strategy stuff for now. Mom beamed. He's still the star. Even in a crisis, he finds a way to lead. A true success story. I took a slow, deliberate sip of my wine. The room was quiet, waiting for me to nod, to agree, to accept my place as the shadow. I set the glass down with a soft clink. That's impressive, Julian, I said, my voice sweet and low. Really high-level stuff. Julian looked up, fear flickering in his eyes. He knew, but I've been meaning to ask. I continued, leaning forward. How are you enjoying cleaning the executive bathrooms on the 42nd floor? The table went dead silent. My father's fork hit his plate with a deafening metallic ring. What did you just say? Dad hissed. I ignored him, keeping my eyes locked on Julian, who was turning a deep, humiliated shade of purple. The grout in the third stall has been a bit stubborn lately, I said, tilting my head. But I'm sure a successful child like you has the discipline to get it sparkling by Monday morning. Elias, stop it, my mother whispered, her face pale. Stop what? I asked, my smile widening. I'm just talking shop with my employee. I stood up and buttoned my jacket. He's on my payroll, Dad. I bought that building last year. I guess I'm the only one in this room who knows what success actually looks like. I looked at my brother, who was staring at his plate, broken. I looked at my parents, whose only successful child was currently scrubbing my toilets. Dinner was lovely, I said. Don't be late on Monday, Julian. We're expecting a client. I walked out. This time I didn't just lock their numbers. I deleted the memory of them.